What is going on? My name is Mike, and this is all about pressure washing, the #1 channel in the pressure washing industry on YouTube. And because of that, I thank you for watching. All right, so today we are doing a commercial job. We got the call for this huge building. It is a bowling alley, and like I said, it's pretty big. The one area that they're really concerned about is that wall. They've had a couple other people that have come out that said they could not do it, but as you can see, this thing is it's a pretty big building. So we're going to be doing all of the awnings, all of this stonework, which isn't that bad, all the way to the street and then back up front. And here comes my truck right now. All right, so Mac is pulling up. We're going to knock this thing out. So let's talk about how to get commercial jobs. So what inspired me to make this video is I recently got an email from an Inner Circle member asking about how to quote a very similar building to the one behind me down in Florida where he lives. So in tonight's Inner Circle call, we're actually going to be taking a look at that building, the one that he sent me pictures of, and breaking down exactly how he should be quoting it based on his equipment, his business model, and his experience. If you're not going to be on the call tonight because you haven't joined yet, in today's video, I'm going to give you guys a few tips on what to look for when you're out quoting commercial jobs. But before we get into that, I wanted to tell you that the Inner Circle is temporarily closing today, December 15th at midnight, and we've not really determined when we're going to reopen, probably sometime in the spring after WashCon, but that date is not yet set in stone. So if you haven't already gotten in, be sure to check out the first link in the comments and description below. So I got a call from the manager looking for an estimate, and as I had mentioned earlier, the manager had said that they had several other companies come out to provide quotes, but because of two of the walls that were incredibly dirty, they were not willing to take on the job because he said they didn't think they could get it clean enough for him. So normally I would have just looked this up online, done some measuring, and used some of the websites that I use to determine the size and the scope, which generally gives me a pretty good idea of what we need to charge. But because he had told me two other companies had passed on this job, the red flag was raised, so I hopped in the car and drove over to check it out in person. And I'm glad that I did. It's unbelievably important to ask the right questions, whether you're quoting in person or if you're quoting remotely. Online pictures are good, but they're not always the best for commercial jobs, and there are ways around this for residential work. But like I said, I wanted to lay eyes on this one. So I got to the building and I saw that there were two walls that were a textured concrete substrate. And because they are so porous, the organics really dive in deep. They grow and they thrive in there, which makes it a little bit more difficult to clean, unless of course you have the right equipment and the knowledge to get the job done. In this scenario, obviously, we're going to pull out our 12-volt soft wash system with the proper mix and clean these two walls. Now, the rest of the building isn't going to really require that 12-volt system and the high concentration of chemical. We're just going to downstream and rinse. The mold, mildew, and other organics were obviously on the rest of the building as well, but fortunately, because of those surfaces, the nastiness wasn't able to get as strong a hold, so there's going to be less chemical consumption, and it's going to be a little bit quicker cleaning process with the 8-gallon-per-minute pressure washers that we use. So it'll make quick work of the rest of the building. Of course, when we're quoting jobs like this, as a professional, you're aware of your capabilities, your equipment capabilities, the chemicals that you use, and how they're going to perform based on the surfaces that you're cleaning. This all comes with time. This all comes with experience, but this can be learned through the proper training as well. Had I received this call when I was first starting out in the business, I may have been one of those guys that walked away because I didn't think that I was going to be able to do it. I just didn't have the confidence that I thought I could clean that like they didn't. Because at that point, our processes, our systems, and our ability to perform in the most efficient and productive manner definitely is nowhere near where they are today, and that comes with experience. But that learning curve can be reduced with the proper knowledge, the training, the education. So if you want to, check out the pressure washing resource page. There's a link below on that too. Like I was saying, after walking the property, I knew that we were going to break out the soft wash equipment and the pressure washing equipment to get this job done quickly and efficiently. So to sum it up, we talked about the importance of knowing when to quote in person and when to quote remotely. And on commercial jobs, it's typically something that we want to do in person because of the size, the scope, and of course, these are higher dollar amounts that we're dealing with. It's also important when you're quoting any job to have a firm understanding of your costs so you can determine where your pricing is going to be based on your business and your market. The last thing you want to do is leave money on the table or price yourself out of the job. And finally, always look for upsells. Now, on this particular job, there were really no upsells other than some exterior window cleaning. They didn't have have any sidewalks. It was all asphalt and they weren't interested in that. But I did ask, and you always should ask, right? Always try to upsell. Now, it can be a little easier when you're face-to-face with a customer, especially when you're talking high-ticket commercial work. Residential work is a lot easier to do via text or email or using your quoting software like Responsibid. And you don't actually have to see the job in a lot of cases because most of the time the homeowners are more intimately aware of the property because they see it every single day and how it looks and what needs to be cleaned. So thanks for watching. As I mentioned before, the Inner Circle is
If you haven't gotten
at
in
midnight and it's something that you're interested in, definitely check out the link below to get more information. Hey, and if you do get in, I'll see you on the call tonight.